The dust of the great campaigns had finally begun to settle. The major coalitions of the Canaanites had been broken, and though pockets of resistance remained, the time had come for the Israelites to stop living out of tents and start building homes. Distributing the land was perhaps a greater challenge than conquering it. It required diplomacy, faith, and a strict adherence to the promises made by Moses years before. Here's the story of how the promised land was carved out for the 12 tribes. 1. The command to the aging leader Joshua was now a very old man. The years of leading charges and managing a nation had taken their toll. God spoke to him, not to tell him to retire, but to give him his final administrative assignment. The Lord said to him, "You are now very old, but there is still a great deal of land to be taken. Now then, divide this land among the other 9 tribes and the other half of the tribe of Joshua 13:7 before the new divisions could happen. Joshua first confirmed the land east of the Jordan River, which Moses had already granted to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh, the ranchers of Israel, and they had already settled into the lush pasturelands of Gilead and Bashan. 2. Caleb's Mountain. The reward of faith before the general lottery for land began. A legendary figure stepped forward. Caleb, who had stood with Joshua 85 years earlier against the fearful reports of the other spies, came to claim a specific promise. Even at 85, Caleb wasn't looking for a retirement home in the plains. He wanted the toughest territory in the country, the hill country where the giants, the Anakim, lived, Caleb said. And now, look at me. I am 85 years old and am just as strong today as I was when Moses sent me out. I am still strong enough for war. Give me then the hill country that the Lord promised me on that day." Joshua 14:10-12. Joshua blessed his old friend and gave him Hebron. Caleb's faith proved that age was no barrier to God's power, and he successfully drove out the giants from his new inheritance. 3. The great lottery at Shiloh. The tribe of Judah received the vast southern territory, and the descendants of Joseph, Ephraim, and the rest of Manasseh took the central highlands. However, 7 tribes were still waiting. The process had stalled. Joshua moved the headquarters from the military camp at Gilgal to Shiloh, where they set up the tent of the Lord's presence, the tabernacle. He then gave the remaining tribes a firm push. Joshua said to the people of Israel, "How much longer are you going to wait before you go in and take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you?" Joshua 18:3 he sent out a survey team, 3 men from each of the 7 tribes, to map out the remaining territory into 7 sections. When they returned with their real estate book, Joshua threw dice, the sacred lots in the presence of the Lord at Shiloh, to determine which tribe got which section. 4. Cities of refuge and the Levites. The distribution wasn't just about farms and vineyards. It was also about justice and spiritual health. God commanded Joshua to set up cities of refuge. These were safe havens where someone who had killed another person accidentally could flee to await a fair trial, protected from the relative responsible for taking revenge. The Lord told Joshua to say to the people of Israel, "Choose the cities of refuge that I had Moses tell you about." Joshua 22:1-2. 6 cities were chosen, strategically spread across the land so that one was always within a day's reach. Additionally, the tribe of Levi did not receive a large state of their own. Instead, they were given 48 specific towns scattered throughout the other tribes' territories, ensuring that the teachers of God's law were present in every corner of the nation. 5. The mission accomplished, finally. After every tribe had their borders and every family had their plot, the people gave Joshua his own inheritance. He requested the city of Timnath-Ser in the hill country of Ephraim, where he spent his final days. The story of the distribution ends with a beautiful summary of God's integrity. It was a long road from the bricks of Egypt to the orchards of Canaan, but God had not missed a single detail. The Lord gave Israel all the land that he had sworn to give to their ancestors. The Lord kept every one of the promises that he had made to the people of Israel. Not one failed. Joshua 21:43-45. The land was divided, the tribes were settled, and the wars were over. But as Joshua neared the end of his life, he had one last speech to give, a speech that would determine if they would keep the land they had just been given.